What an instant impact this man has had, and the former captain and now the current captain had their say on his quick impact during the week.
Pretty clear that every player that plays Essendon Footy Club has to defend now, and for me, I'm just playing my role, I feel like. Got some amazing guys around me that are starting to be really predictable and allow me to chase and hunt and pressure the footy.
Yeah, I think that side of our game's certainly grown over the last 4 to 6 weeks. We have had quite a focus on our team D, and
yeah, hearing that in particular from Zach really struck with me. Now, we've seen their change in their game in terms of their system and their standards and the accountability that they've got. I wanted to bring up the coaches that they've previously had, and I just wonder whether for the first time they're actually being coached and have been made to be accountable to a system that they know they are accountable to.
The others have gone soft on?
I think so, a little bit. I think there's been a lack of system. There's certainly been a lack of accountability for the players. They certainly haven't paid the price when they've stepped outside that system. And to see that they are now covering all facets of the game, both offensively and to credit to some of those coaches, offensively they are pretty good under some of those coaches, but now defensively and in all areas to the point where they're so well drilled that they now know what to do and they have a name for the last 2 minutes of games and for red time. Lordo, would that be your observation? And is that fair, do you think?
I think the stability at the club is first rate. And I think on your point that you're making there, I think sometimes I look at a coach and judge a coach by how many players are in career best form. And there's so many players at Essendon at the moment who are playing the best football that I've ever seen them play. And I think that comes down to just how well Brad's got his
Can I challenge you a little bit on stability, though? Yeah. Because we were laughing at them pre-season around the instability going on but at board level and the way they went after Clarko and then got into Brad Scott.
That's another credit to the coach, Sam.
100%.
So this is my point on the coach.
Yeah, I mean,
he's
done this, I reckon, with one arm tied behind his back.
No one's talking about Josh Marnie and no one's talking about Adrian Dodoro anymore.
Yeah. We were at the start of the year.
They've zipped their lips. They're working together when they have to. Adrian might say he was never really in match committee, but match committee has been shrunk. The problems on the board, they're not gone, and I think Kevin Sheedy will go at the end of the year, and there's a couple of others in question as well. But winning does mirror over cover over the cracks. But I honestly think the stamping of authority and Brad Scott's refusal to go along with some of the practices that were going on in the past has swept through the whole club. Yeah, culturally.
And considering they have changed president, coach, captain, CEO and board members, it's pretty good.
But no new assistants really. He went with the whole team who, people were criticising last year. Last year these players were said to be a bunch of introverts, as were the assistant coaches. No one's saying that anymore. There's the same footy boss.
It was a stunning performance yesterday against a good side, and a lot of people were suggesting Adelaide were top four worthy and they could win the premiership. So it wasn't against no one. And the system with which they are now moving the ball, this is as good as you're going to see. There's method in this. There's work rate. There's everyone playing their role. And they have played some good footy offensively in the past. But I just look at some of the lesser names that are involved here, the younger players, the ball movement, the movement of their forwards and their work rate. And then you get just the outstanding skill level on top of that and the work rate from Martin here to get back as the wingman. His role in this team is so important. We're going to speed this up because you highlight where he ends up. So note, Martin there marks the footy. They transition the ball once again wide, but they bring it back in when they need to. There he is. There, receiving the ball after he just marked an inside defensive 50. And then you get the elite ball use of the captain, Merritt, who has been an inspiration for them this year, Lord.
Yeah, good vision, Kane. I know there's been a lot of players that have also left Essendon over the years, Sard and Danaher and Fantasia and these types who didn't want to be there. But here's Brad Scott talking about Parrish and Redmond and their futures at the club.
I love them. I'd love them to buy in. I'd love them to be part of it. But I think for any footy club, if you've got players who don't want to be a part of it, perhaps they should go. So, we're really keen on keeping them. We're working really hard to keep them. But I've said before, I'm not going to emotionally blackmail anyone.
My view is that Parrish did not feel valued at the club last year, and now he does and is more likely to stay. And that Redmond, after that, now much talked of presentation from the club that involved, I think, Simon Madden and others, he stood up and said, I was gone a year ago, to Adelaide, and now it's sort of, 60-40 that I'm going to stay.
He's flipped the script there, though, Brad Scott. He's a magician like that, I think. I mean, I know that, to your point, winning helps, but he's saying, hey, if you want to be part of it, great, but if not, I'm not going to hold it.
I like that too, because they should have seen enough now. It's always probably about financial or where Redmond would like to live probably now.
And if Redmond's been offered, you know, a long-term deal at Adelaide, unofficially, which is what we're hearing, you know, potentially 5 or 6 years, who knows, it might be hard to keep him, but why would you leave Essendon right now?
Unfortunately, the opponent that they beat have got some problems, and they are on the road. 14 of their last 15 they have now lost in Melbourne, and their coach Matthew Nicks admitted it was an issue after the game.
Yes, I can't deny that. There's an issue there when we play away. I mean, as you said, we play a Collingwood game at the MCG and we bring an outstanding performance. But there is a trend there that we've already looked into, we'll continue to look into, and we'll continue to try and improve.
And whether it's fair or not, Cornsey, when you're an interstate side, you need to have a strong record on the road, particularly in Melbourne.
You do, and I'm a bit disappointed in myself for getting sort of caught up and sucked into Adelaide, and we react from week to week, but that's the history of it. That's exactly where they sit. They're an inconsistent, still young team that aren't ready to compete on the bigger stage, and the reason behind that is because a lot of their players don't stand up when they need to. They're hometown heroes. Scoop and Lordo, we discussed this on the Sunday Footy Show. You said, do you give Adelaide a chance against the Bombers? I said, yeah, because look at the forward line talent that they've got, and that's what they deliver, wins versus losses, and the difference in their performance is stark. They're all players in the forward line. They had enough opportunity yesterday, 53 entries. They don't compete hard enough when they're away from home, and they don't stand up when they're challenged strongly enough.
So, Lloydie, are those figures, I know that they're quite dramatic, but are they not to be expected when you're getting smashed out of the midfield?
But they weren't.
Away from home?
They had 53 entries. That's my point. They had a lot of opportunities and they weren't there from the start. Defensively, they were all off across the board.
So do they feel the pinch? Like, are they feeling the pressure more away from home?
Some players are more comfortable. I know it took a lot of me and a lot of other players at the Bombers. Sometimes we played so much better in Melbourne than we did interstate, and that could be a psychological thing that some teams and some players don't handle.
That hometown hero thing that Cornsey was talking about?
I think sometimes you're going into hostile territories and some players don't handle that too well. But when you're a good side, you just win any time and anywhere, and that's what they're not able to do at the moment.